Welcome to Tidy Up Texan. I am Nicole, and today I've got some cleaning motivation for you. It is time to clean this kitty room. It is absolutely filthy, so I will be pulling everything out, scrubbing these floors, walls, table, chair, and we are not replacing that cat tree in there. It is going somewhere else. As you can see, there's food, litter, fur everywhere. So I've got four cats who I absolutely love, but they are extremely messy. However, for the most part, everything is contained in this room. Although I do a little maintenance here and there, I only clear out this room maybe every other month or so to give it good cleaning. And today is that day. So I'm starting by emptying out the entire room and giving it a good scrub down. I had planned to get rid of this cat tree altogether, but every time I move it somewhere else, they become interested in it again. So I'm just gonna pull it out for now, and maybe I'll put it back into the closet where we used to have it. So as you can see, the floors are a disaster. There is kitty litter everywhere, and one of the kitties has decided that he doesn't like the kitty box anymore. So I've been having to clean up messes outside the kitty box, which I am not too pleased about. So I'm going to find another container to put in here later once I'm done. And hopefully, cross your fingers, he'll use the box again. Lately, this room has been really getting cluttered up, so it's been hard to sweep in here. So there's a huge accumulation of sand when I put this cat tree in here. So that is why the cat tree is not returning to this room. So once I'm done sweeping in this room, I'm going to be using a very, very wet mop and even throwing some extra soap onto the floor and letting it just soak in so that I can easily scrub it up later. All right, now that we got it all cleared out and swept up, we're moving on to the mopping. And what I use to mop is Fabuloso. It's a lavender scent and then just a splash of bleach. But I've got a heavy amount of moisture in this mop. And I'm just kind of moving it all around. I'm not really mopping. I'm just kind of getting the floors all wet here. Okay, now I'm going to go wash out this mop and use mainly water and just a splash of Fabuloso to wipe down these walls while the cleaner is doing its job on the floors. I always dread doing this room. It really is gross, and I should be doing it more often, probably once a month. But it is a pain to be having to pull everything out just to get these floors done. Shifting everything around just doesn't work. It's just too small. But it always feels so good having it completely done, and it smells wonderful in here again, considering there's a litter box in there. And the walls aren't typically something I do every time. I probably do it every other time. But I do notice it does help tremendously getting these walls wiped down, all the dust and fur that gets trapped on these textured walls. Having them clean just makes a world of a difference. All right, now we're going to get to the actual mopping of the floors. The solution has had plenty of time to really get into all the grooves, loosen up the yucky spots, and with the bleach sanitize. All right, let's move on to the table. Since we have dogs, it was a must that we have their kitty food put up high. So I got this table to put in the little kitty room and put their food in there to keep it away from the dogs. And the dogs aren't allowed in that room, but it doesn't mean that they won't try. So for the table, I am using Lysol all-purpose cleaner to get it all cleaned up. And if you watched my channel before, you know that is my go-to cleaner. So I got this little table at a thrift store. I think I paid maybe 15 bucks for it. It actually is a restaurant table, and I love the color. A piece of it on the edge is the laminate on it is torn off, so I always put that against the wall so you can't see it. But I love that red vintage look. And because one of my cats is older, he's going on 15, I put this chair in there so that he can easily jump up. But it also is one of my cat's favorite places to lay, and that's why there is a ton of fur on the seat of this chair. All right, now that we've gotten all vacuumed up, I'm going to wipe down this wood and then start replacing everything and wipe down things as I go. I did forget to film the cleaning of these trays, but I did clean the trays, and I am charging up the water bowl, and that takes some time. So I am putting the water bowl back, but without the little pump. And then I'm going to wipe down these containers with the cat food and dog food and refill the dog food container. All right, let's start putting everything back into the room and take a look at the befores and the afters. What a difference. It just feels like a whole new room. It smells fantastic and it almost looks new again. But remember what it looked like before? All cluttered and full of litter, fur, dust, food, you name it. But I do hope you enjoyed this transformation. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you can hit that thumbs up. And if you're not already, subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And I do have a goal. I would love to get to 150 subscribers by mid-April. And we are getting so close. So if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, please. But I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you spending your time with me today. It really does mean the world to me. And I would love to know where you're watching from. So come say hi in the comments. And again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And until next time, bye. Welcome to Tidy Up Texan. I am Nicole, and today we are going to be working out in the yard and then heading inside and doing some organization and some decluttering. But first, let's get rid of all this trash. About a week and a half's worth of trash. It's going to be a warm one today, so we are loading up this truck and we are driving this up to the dumpster. Normally, we just pull these wagons up, but since we had so much, we decided to just throw it all in the back of the truck and just drive it up. And this weather, I tell you what, one week it will be freezing cold, and then the next it's going to be in the 90s, and then the next back to freezing cold. I guess that's why they say in Texas, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. But today we knew it was going to be a warm one, so we decided to get all the trash done and then work on the lawn. All right, here we have the front lawn. This is the only part that we actually call our lawn because this is the only part that stays green. But we wanted to get the three areas that we are constantly going through, and that is in front of this warehouse, on the side of the house, and in the front. We are on almost 3 acres, and it is tough to keep up with just this push mower and some weed whackers. So we have to focus on what we can, and the rest we do in small sections. And there still are sections that we haven't got to since last summer. And Ryan and I like to switch off on weed whacking and mowing. So he's going to start with the mowing in the front, and then I'll be weed whacking throughout the front. And when we bought this house, they told us that there was irrigation, but we soon found out that almost all the pipes on the irrigation are broke. So the only part of the lawn that gets watered is this part here. So that's why this always stays green and the rest does not. It always makes me so happy to see the lawn all mowed. It's just so pretty. I just wish it would stay that way. We are hoping that we get a ride along by the end of the summer. Fingers crossed. They are just so darn expensive, and we just haven't been able to save enough money because one thing or another keeps happening, like the roof flying off the warehouse and the apartment getting destroyed, and so many other things. Oh, the joys of home ownership. But I won't complain because we absolutely love this place. We have been renters all our lives, and this is our first home and our first home out in the country. And we don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. It was starting to get hot, but there was a nice breeze. And having the nice breeze, my camera falls over a couple times, which you'll see in just a moment. It's hard to tell, but this slope is pretty darn steep. And as I'm going up and down, it's like pulling me downwards down the hill, and then I'm straining to get back up. And if you look in the background, all that brown stuff, that's the stuff that we haven't got to since last summer. It's so overgrown. It's about waist height. And our neighbors' barn cats love to be running through all that overgrowth because there's a bunch of mice back there, and it drives our dogs crazy. So I'm hoping to tackle that in the next week or two. Don't hold me to it. All right, section 2 is just about done, and we're going to head down section 3 of the warehouse. So if you're wondering what those things are on the ground right there in front of Ryan, that is the panels to the roof that flew off. They are extremely heavy, or else we would move them somewhere else, but for right now, they are staying there. It doesn't look like it, but I had just mowed this last week. But because we had all those storms, it grew tremendously. I couldn't believe it. And when we bought this house, most of this wasn't in here. This is all grown into our driveway up through the gravel. And I do plan to get out here and kill most of this because it drives me crazy. All right, we are just about done with the last section, and also my camera, as you can see, is moving, and it will be going down just now. It is finally done. It looks so good. I am so happy we got this done. I love the fresh cut lines, but I don't like mowing all that much. But it needed to be done, and it looks fantastic. I am so happy. All right, now that we have that done, we're going to move on to the inside. And this dresser is mostly for our pets, all of our treats and kitty food, dog food, treats, all that fun stuff goes in this dresser. And we have not tackled this in quite a while, and it was in dire need of some cleaning. So I'm going to empty out one drawer at a time and clean it up and reorganize it. And of course, you're going to see Gizmo, my treat fanatic. He's going to be here trying his hardest to get some treats. And of course, I give in. But he's so funny. He jumps up here and he tells us when he wants his treats. He will stand right above this drawer and he'll tap on the handle to get us to get him his treats. We have a ton of these little bags of treats, and most of them are almost empty, so I'm just going to dump them into this big container here. and the ones that are not opened yet, I'm going to stick in the back. And of course, when I get down to the next drawer, I totally forgot we had more in there too. So I had to make some more room in this drawer for those treats. But these animals, they are so stinking smart. It's ridiculous. They all have their special ways of trying to get their little treats in. But I'm curious to know if you have animals, what is their little trick to getting their treats? So in this next drawer, I have a couple of little jackets, which one of them, that little black one, I ordered thinking it was going to fit the new puppy, but it came in a teeny tiny little jacket, which doesn't even fit any of my cats. So we are going to have a massive, massive garage sale, hopefully this summer, and that little jacket will be going into that garage sale. And then I have all these essential oils I had put in here, but upon returning them, I decided I am going to put them over by my nightstand where I have been using my diffuser. So although I start putting these back, they are not staying there. But all the bottles were just so grody. They were full of oil and fur, so they needed a good washing before I put them back. And the drawer below it has some more of the sweatshirts and jackets. However, this past winter, they have gone a little crazy with their sweatshirts and getting into places they weren't supposed to and have torn those sweatshirts. So I actually have to go and buy some more. And I should probably declutter these scarves because our dogs have grown since we got them and they don't fit. Although one of them may fit our little girl, but since they are not exactly the colors for little girls, I may just declutter them anyways. This top drawer, we have a bunch of toys and wet kitty food. And since we have that one drawer completely empty, I am going to move all these toys down into that empty drawer and organize all the wet food. There are also a bunch of dog bones in this drawer, which will bring down to the dog's treat drawer. Unfortunately, we can't just leave the bones around because the dogs will fight over them. So they end up in this drawer. Somehow one of the containers had exploded and there's roast kitty food all over the bottom of this drawer. So this drawer will need a good scrubbing. So if you didn't know, we have 7 animals, 4 cats and 3 dogs. And that's not counting my sister-in-law's animals with her 2 dogs and 3 cats. And let me tell you what, these animals literally take half our grocery budget every week between buying wet food, dry food, toys, litter, treats, clothing, you name it. They wipe us out every week. So yeah, we spoil them just a bit, but that's just the price of love. This drawer is for the dogs, and there's a few things in here that they just didn't like and are probably expired, so we are going to declutter some of those. And again, a bunch of scraps from bones, so we'll be tossing those. In this next drawer, we have a few of Ryan's movies and video games. And then there's a random bag of I don't know what, which we will get rid of. But once we have the downstairs fully organized and decluttered, those will probably end up going downstairs with the gigantic TV. And speaking of the downstairs, there has been no progress as of yet. We still need to paint the bathroom. Finances have been tight, so that is on hold for right now. So my sister-in-law is going to have to wait just a little bit longer to move downstairs. And if this is your first time here, so the downstairs, there is another master bedroom down there. It was my mother-in-law's, and she recently passed away. And I have my sister-in-law here who has inherited her half of the house. And since we love our room, we decided not to move down to the master, um, my mother-in-law's master, and my sister-in-law will take it over instead. But we have emptied out the master bedroom downstairs completely, and we started painting the room and the walk-in closet. So if you haven't seen that video, I will link it down below. So in this drawer, I have all of our vitamins, and I'm just going to wipe them down and put them right back. And then the drawer below it has some of the dog's wet food, which we need to restock soon. And in this last drawer, we have some of the kitty's grooming supplies and the dog's training supplies. So once I'm done with this drawer, I'm going to put all the kitty toys in that last empty drawer. And then we're going to move on to my kitchenette cabinet, which is a disaster, and I need to declutter most of it. All right, the pet dresser is complete. I created this little kitchenette because I do not cook and I don't like going downstairs into the kitchen since we had to combine 3 households. So the kitchen is overloaded with stuff and I just can't handle it. So I created this little kitchenette for myself. And on the rare occasion I do have to cook, I actually have everything I need right here. But this cabinet has become a catch-all and it is time to declutter it. Half these cereals, well, more than half these cereals need to go. They have been sitting in here for months and months and months. And I don't even really care for cereal. It hurts my tummy. So out most of it goes. And as you can see, it is super dusty in here. So we got to take care of that. And in here I have some Tupperware, some glassware, some spices and some sauces, which most of them can go. And then I have a bunch of egg cartons, which I get my eggs from the neighbor and I save all of the cartons to reuse for next time. Got all these separated out and I'm going to go rinse off the spices and such and this little spice rack. I do this off camera, but I will bring it back nice and clean and get this cabinet cleaned up. So this cabinet was given to us by a friend, and unfortunately they did not come with the 2 shelves here, so this is just a big open space, which is fine because my spice rack fits in here perfectly, and it's only temporary. Eventually we'll get something nicer in here. All right, we are just about done. Hopefully you have enjoyed today's video. And as always, I so appreciate you spending your time with me. And if you would you hit that like? And if you're not already, hit that subscribe button. You guys are the best. I love you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, as my dog is trying to jump on top of me doing this voiceover, I will see you in the next one. Bye. Welcome to Tidy Up Texan. I'm Nicole. And in today's video, we are tackling the living room. We're going to declutter and tidy this room up and make it presentable. Now, I have been wanting to get to this room for months. All of these boxes have been shifted around from room to room, and Morgan has finally gone through all the boxes and taken out everything that she needed and put in everything that she didn't. So now I have the green light to start taking it all out. So, as some of you may know from my last post, I have been struggling with my back issues. And whenever the weather starts turning cold, it really ramps up the pain. So, my main goal is just to get this room nice and tidy. And I won't be getting into any deep cleaning today. But since there is a ton of animals here, we will be needing to vacuum a whole lot. And I'm going to start with this sofa and chair. At this point, the vacuum was starting to die, so I had to switch over to my vacuum. And although the stick vacuum was doing a decent job, there's nothing like a corded vacuum to get all of this fur up. Since my back wasn't doing too well, I wasn't about to take these cushions off and get underneath, but I wanted to at least get the first layer of dirt and fur up. But the sofa definitely needs a good washing, so eventually I'll pull out my carpet cleaner and give it a clean. So, you guys, I have some news, and it makes me so happy to say that my eldest son and his girlfriend have moved here to Texas and will be renting our guest house as soon as it's done. But until then, they are taking over the guest room. Ryan and I have been trying to convince my son to move out here for the past year and a half. And a couple weeks ago, my son called me up and said, "Mom, I've finally had it with California. I'm ready to get out of here." So, of course, I told him to hurry up and start packing. And he just arrived a couple of days ago. And of course, I am so excited to have him here. My oldest and I have always been very close, and I've missed him so very much. And I know he's just as excited as I am. All right, we're finally done with the sofas. So I'm going to move over to this side of the room and get this all cleared out, setting everything on the patio for now. And I know everything can be condensed a little bit better, which I'll do another day, but I just don't have it in me today. All right, now that this area is all cleaned up, I can start moving my way around the room and vacuuming up as much fur as I possibly can. And it is crazy to me how much these corgis shed. And I know Morgan vacuums down here every week. And every week we could pretty much make a whole new corgi out of all this fur. Again, with these boxes, I know they can be consolidated a little bit better, but I'm still in a whole lot of pain and just don't have it in me. So for now, I'm just going to pull these outside and we'll deal with it later. All right, this section is complete. We'll be moving on to behind the chair. I'm just going to tidy this up some and of course vacuum. And I really wanted to mop all the floors too, but by the time I was done with everything, my back was done. So I'm going to go ahead and vacuum this section and then go over the rest of the room one more time with the vacuum and then finally vacuum the last chair. All right, friends, we are just about done. And if you made it this far, I thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. And if you enjoyed this cleaning motivation, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you never miss a fresh reset. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.